HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter. At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
So you're a philosopher?
Yes, 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 yes.
This is Thoughts and Moments. Hey, it's your boy Sille Thoughts, the Prince of Petty.
And I'm Joy, also known as Joy Ride. I provide the moments to make your life better.
We're here weekly to provide the latest news, trending topics, and edutainment.
We will engage, entertain, and inform, but we keep it real and we keep it fun.
So whether you're riding in these streets or podcast surfing with your peeps, this is a show you don't want to miss.
Every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And guess what? It's 5 p.m., so let's go.
Hey, and welcome to Thoughts and Moments right here on the Jericho Broadcast Network. It is No Shave November, and I am in the midst of it. So please, save your comments about my scraggly face for later. But welcome to the show. We are here, and I am, of course, joined by my lovely co-host, Joyride. How are you?
Everybody, I'm doing well. Good to see you. I am excited for you for the advent of No Shave November. Good luck with that. We'll see how you look come December 1st and how things are going.
Too much salt in my pepper. I might have to cut this off.
Yeah, you're looking pretty salty right now. You're looking pretty salty. I wasn't gonna say nothing, but for y'all, that's distinguished. Me, I'm like, they dye this on out pretty soon, but maybe I won't. No, never mind. Did he just freeze up? See, this is what happens with technology. I'm gonna sit here and drink my wine till he gets back. Or maybe he's not coming back. So the moral of the story is Wi-Fi connection. That's what we want all of our people to have, is a good Wi-Fi connection so that they can enjoy the show best they can. So how you doing over there, Ellis? What do you think? I said take him off. It's the Joy Show for now. Wait till he comes back. Yes, me. Oh, damn. Hey.
Take two. So, and we're back. So some updates since we last talked last week with our good friend Chris Taliaferro, who is funny, and his puppets.
Yeah, Chris.
Chris and the puppets. So I know I've been telling y'all about our attempt to move into the city, and we have come 2 steps closer to moving into the city. First step is we actually officially put our house on the market. And we even, like, the first day we had put the house on the market, somebody wanted to see the house. So that's a good sign. And then these other piece of news is that we put some money down on a house. So
where's the house going to be? Did you put down?
We're in West Midtown. Actually, very near you, Joy. Yeah, very, very near you. So, that is that's exciting for us. I don't know how it is for Glenn, but I'm just making that news be known. So yeah, looking forward to, hopefully by the end of the year or early in 2021, because our house is still being built. We'll be moving into the city. So I can say officially I'm an Atlanta resident and not a suburbanite, as we're called. So
Right.
very, very excited about that. Just took, 17 years. But hey,
Better late than never, come on back. In ITP, that's where you want to be.
In ITP, I want Keisha to be my mayor, not some random person I don't know.
I got a mayor, right? I was actually, matter of fact, I was rocking my mayor named Keisha sweatshirt either last week or the week before. I had all, like Maynard, all of them, all the way down. Maynard twice on there. This week we're doing Black Lives Matter Boondock style.
Gotcha.
I got this. I wanted it to all be on there, but I'm not gonna lean back in a crunch for an hour and a half. So just know that.
Gotcha. It's funny. It's like when we're looking at the neighborhood, because of course you got to go back multiple times looking at the neighborhood, and one of the things that attracted us to the neighborhood were several houses had Black Lives Matter signs in their yard. And so we're like, okay, this is a safe space for us. We're talking, and it was a multicultural neighborhood. It wasn't just all Black people in there, but it was, so Indians, I'm talking Asian Indian, not Native Americans.
Yes, but only, gotcha.
The only Indians, yeah. But, for some people, you have to make that distinction. And then there were some whites, some, European Americans and African Americans in the neighborhood, and everybody seemed to get along. They're all waving and stuff. So it was like, okay, this is a safe neighborhood for us to be in, and we like it because it's a little bit of, it's like a little taste of the suburb in the city. But then as soon as you leave the neighborhood, you're in there's like an industrial park and all this other stuff for us. So, but we drive into it, you'll see. I mean, we'll have you over, I guess, when all this foolishness ends.
Oh yeah, coming over.
Yeah, and so you'll see. You're like, where they built this at? Like, how they get this back here? So
that's how I felt when I moved into Atlantic Station. I was like, didn't this used to be like a rail yard? Like I remember this being like a trash dump or something, but no, it's a sexy mall now. And I'm glad to live on top of my rail yard, trash dump, whatever. But
about that, they list Atlantic Station as an amenity for our neighborhood. It's like, oh, they got a whole bunch of restaurants over there. So I'm like, yeah, we
not right now though. But it's interesting. I wanted to touch back on something you said about knowing it was a safe space because of the Black Lives Matter signs. That actually is a pretty good indicator. I have friends across the country, all colors, who have said that they either became aware of or were shocked by some of the things that they saw during the election time. Like all of a sudden, people that they wave at and they thought were cool, their kids play together, whatever, Trump 2020 signs, and Blue Lives Matter, and like not just because everybody has a right to free speech, and the signs in your yard are free speech. It's fine, but some of them got more and more antagonistic, and they were like, wow, I didn't know this about the people in my neighborhood. And this is other white people who, like, I remember one friend, really good friend of mine, she said that there was another, it was a mixed race couple that moved in, Black guy, Hispanic woman, and they had a kid together, et cetera. And she said the first time she went over there, she asked me what's going on, because she went to buy a bike off of them that they put for sale or whatever. And the son came out to like run towards her to talk to her. And the mother grabbed him back, like, hang on, like, don't go down there. And she's like, why would they be afraid of me? And I said, they're not afraid of you. They're afraid of the potential that you may have to be very Karen-esque and say that their son attacked you. So they're trying to make sure that there's no misunderstanding between you and their son. And she blew her mind. And so later on, she told me that when they started putting out signs and stuff, she put a big Biden-Harris sign in her yard, and they drove by it and they got more friendly. I was like, yeah, because that is a signal to them that you could be a potential ally in the neighborhood. There was another young Black guy selling, I don't know, magazines or something in her neighborhood, and he stopped at her house, and things were popping off right about that time. When I tell y'all out here in the audience about what it means to live as an ally, my friend Kristen was doing this. She said she saw this Black kid, he was great sales pitch, etc. But most of her neighborhood had Trump signs, and she asked him, are you alone? Do you feel okay? Because there were protests like less than a mile away, pro-Trump protests over there. And she told him, look, I don't know how far you're going out here, but if you feel like you can't make it back to your car or whatever, you can stop here. She said his eyes welled up, at her general. Just the fact that he knew that between him and whatever may be coming to him, it was a haven, a lighthouse, a safe, literally a safe space for him to go to.
And the sad thing about that is that, of course, there is, and I put this on Facebook the other day, we're living in two Americas, right? And I don't think you've got the Trump version of America that they have become very jingoistic and really, yeah, you gotta look that up, but really jingoistic and kind of, and we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And our main topic, we're talking about the evangelicals, and they've really become that way, and they have become very dismissive of facts and science and all of these things. And when you were thinking about that, it is very, very, it's eerily similar to what happened in Germany. And I know everybody, when I say that, everybody kind of recoils, well, the Trump people recoil, oh my God, we're not killing people. Not yet. They didn't start that way. Like Germany didn't start that way. Hitler just didn't kick up one day and just start,
You know what? Let's kill. No, bro, I'll do you one better. The Nazi regime learned their tactics from watching the way Americans in segregated USA treated Black people.
Yes.
They were like, I like how that's working out. Let's try that here. And it worked. They went further. Actually, they didn't really, but they were more intense.
Blatant with it. They were more blatant with it. Like they were more in the face with it.
Because I have heard rumors of, a solution to the Black Lives Matter problem that is eerily similar to the final solution. So when I tell people that I had packed a bag and I was wondering whether I was going to go to get out without my sister, because I didn't think I could make it to Texas to get her. Those ideas crossed my mind, and I am a well-educated person. I'm not given to conspiracy theory, but I'm also not going to bury my head in the sand of what could have been.
I think being well-educated, understand that you understand the history, right? And history has a sad way of repeating itself. Look at what's happening now, and it's eerily similar to what happened in 1918. Almost 100 years later, we're in the middle of another pandemic, and that people aren't taking seriously because that's how it spread in 1918. You can look it up. It's on the CDC website. It's on every other. So you just put a little Google search in. This is eerily similar. They even in 1918, they even had anti-mask leagues, right? And so you think about, this is ridiculous. Like if you really do just a quick search on what's going on right now and read what happened in 1918 in the Spanish flu pandemic, the influenza pandemic, it's eerily similar. And you're like, in 100 years, we haven't learned anything. And it's really about leadership, right? It's really about what's going on in terms of leadership, because if we had the right leadership, and I'm not saying that Joe Biden would have been like, he would have had a Midas touch when it came to influenza. I think that Biden or President Obama would have done a better job, and they would have been in front of this instead of reactionary and waiting until people started dying and infections started getting out of control to where before you started acting. And then they definitely wouldn't have tried to act like after the fact, like, well, to even try to reframe 250,000 plus deaths as we saved millions of lives because we acted is so insulting. It's like you can't even I couldn't wrap my mind around it when Katie and his other mouthpieces were standing up there like, how many lives we saved by the way we acted and how swiftly we acted. Like, no, you didn't. You knew this in December and early January. And then acting until March.
We closed the border to China, but you didn't stop Americans from coming back from China or from Europe. You just closed the border. And that's why I remember during the first debate, Trump tried to, and this is all over and done with, but Trump tried to spin it as if Joe Biden was against quarantining and against stopping travel from contaminated countries. And he wasn't. He said calling it the China virus, calling it the Kung flu, only banning Chinese people and not anyone traveling from China was xenophobic. And it absolutely was. There are people that got beat up for being Chinese at the beginning of this pandemic because of the propaganda that was put forward. Once again, stoking violence against minorities over and over.
And the irony of the whole situation was there was like, Italy was a hot spot, and they were still allowing people coming in from Europe, and you see what happened, right? So Italy was a hot spot, Iran was a hot spot, a lot of, so it's really kind of, sad that now we have over 11 million cases. And when we started this show, what were we at? Like 7, 6, 5? I think when we started in March, we had not even that many cases.
March, we were like 2 million in March.
Yes. And now we're at 11 and 250,000 deaths.
If you look at that chart, that is exponential growth.
Exponential growth, and it's all on his watch. So that's enough about him. So here's some fun stuff. Thanksgiving is next Thursday, so we probably won't be doing a show because we'll be Zooming with our family members.
Yes.
try to make sure folks ain't trying to gather. But be that as it may, I did a quick survey on my Facebook page and just kind of see what kind of turkey people like. Do they like it fried? Do they like it roasted? Or do they like it smoked? And surprisingly, I thought more people would say fried, right? I thought this fried turkey is good. It's great. I mean, it's but the thing that I have learned as I've been cooking, I've cooked it all three kind of ways. When I learned how to brine a roasted turkey, that changed roasted turkey for me. And then when I learned how to smoke a turkey, then that brought both of those type other ways of cooking methodologies up to par with frying. I love fried turkey when it's first out, but the next day it goes back to like a drier roasted turkey. So fried turkey is probably still better, fresh cooked, but over time you're going to lose some of the flavor and everything you get with the frying. But with the roasted and the smoked, you get that flavor start to finish.
So I ain't gonna lie, that smoked turkey is the truth. If you know what you're doing on the grill, it's all that. But the fried turkey, so with the fried turkey, if you're going to go ahead and deep fry a whole bird, lean in the unhealthiness of it all. Don't try to just reheat it in your easy bake oven for adults, also known as an air fryer, the next day, right? Don't try to convection heat it up because it's going to get dry. Go on, put some more injection butter on it. And maybe even a little bit of olive oil. Go ahead, refry it. It's okay. You've already committed to the sin of gluttony. Go on, go hard. Go hard in the paint. Go hard in the butter. Just
go all the way. Just go all the way. You got
some extra injection left over. Go ahead, hook that up. Get it juicy again. Refry. It's okay. It's just one thing. That's all.
Yeah.
Don't do that, y'all. I'm playing. I am joking. No. Not add extra.
You can air fry it. I've heard that the air fryer does give it life. It gives fried food life again, like it was first fried. I have heard that, and we actually have one. I haven't used it. The wife swears by it. So that's how she reheats wings, and if I fry some chicken or something like that, she'll reheat it in the air fryer. She's like, it tastes like when you first made it.
She's right. So, it's great for reheating. But if you've already sliced that turkey up, then it's not going to be the same. It needs to have kind of like that whole skin reheat type of thing. Chicken wings, fried chicken, all that kind of stuff. I've even reheated fish, which is hard to do, to reheat fish. You try to do it in the microwave, it'll come out in the air fryer. It works wonders. So yeah, it's good. It is good for that. But don't add a whole bunch of extra butter. I was joking about that part.
Well, you already greased it down when you inject that fried turkey. You already put the Creole butter on it. One injection
every 3 inches. Boom.
Oh, here's a little tip I got from my cousin. When you're doing the injection, get you one of those long
syringes.
No. What you let fire with, what you light candles with.
Yeah.
The long one, the long one. You when you do the injection, you heat the end of a butter knife up and then you put it on the hole. It closes the hole back up, so all of your liquid doesn't fall out of the turkey. It stays in the turkey.
Cauterize the wound.
You cauterize the wound.
I ain't mad at that. I learn something every day.
Okay, that was for free. Because I'm trying to tell you, I was like, what are you doing? And it takes a little bit longer, so trust, because you got to keep heating and without. But I tell you, it's well worth it because it stays in the turkey, doesn't all drip out to the bottom of the pan. And then when you fry that thing, boy.
So, O.C. Anderson, I know you're watching. I know you are, you hell on that grill and on the fryer. So there's another tip for you if you didn't already know. Good luck.
Yeah, there's that tip. So yeah, and then brining. I swear by brining. If you're gonna roast a turkey, you gotta brine it. If you don't brine it, you're being disrespectful to the bird. Just don't. Yeah.
The secret to my turkey this year is going to be GPS, because I'm going to look for the nearest Popeyes and I'm going to give me a fried turkey from Popeyes, a little one that I ain't got to cook because it's me. And turkey lasts a long time, and that's a long time to be eating fried food. So I'm going to share it. Maybe it depends on how I feel and who wants to be around me. But that's where the meat is coming from. I'm making dressing, and I'm making collard greens and macaroni and cheese, and I'm buying the turkey.
You know what the weirdest thing is, and it's almost, this is kind of like that machismo that a lot of us men have, because I had it for a number of years, is you always want to buy the biggest damn turkey on the planet, and no, you ain't got enough people to eat all that damn turkey, and you got to throw a turkey away, but you feel crazy buying a small turkey. It's just it's just so disrespectful to buy a 12 or 13 pound turkey. I got to buy the 20-pound jar. Mm-hmm. And you're like, you're not gonna eat all that.
My dad used to get a huge turkey like that for just the four of us, and then freeze half of it. Like, he would cut it straight down the middle with almost like a machete, whop, and then put the other half up for Christmas so he wouldn't have to cook again. But he also did like he bought a little turkey.
The last turkey tip I'm gonna give today, and then we're gonna move on to our main topic. The last turkey tip I'm gonna give today is when you cut it, right? So when you're carving the turkey, especially the breast area, so you carve the turkey, you should cut down the thigh where you get the leg quarter, and then you can cut remove the thigh from the leg portion. When you're cutting your breast, people typically want to just slice down the side. That's not the way to do it. You cut it at the bone in the middle, cut that down to the center, and then cut from the bottom of the breast towards the center, where you pull the whole breast off, and then you slice that into equal size slices. It makes it a lot easier instead of just keep cutting on the side of the turkey. Remove the breast, cut the breast off the turkey, and then cut that in slices. It's easier to serve, it's easier to cut, and you put those slabs of a little gravy on top of that, and you'll have a nice.
You're saying like a full-on mastectomy? Just cut the whole, like,
just cut the whole breast off.
Meat off, and then just leave that, and then slice it. Once you just pull, you excise the entire piece. Okay, all right.
Yes. All right. And it makes it easier to put it away, because you don't have to worry about all that bone. You've already cut it off the bone. You could throw the bone away and have your turkey ready for storage to reheat for later on sandwiches and everything like that. So go to YouTube. Food Network has all the tips on how to roast it properly. If you're going to roast it, they have tips on how to. And this is all free. They didn't pay me for none of this. So and teach you how to carve your turkey. So once I started doing that, I was like, it changed the whole turkey game for me.
If you can catch an old episode of Good Eats with Alton Brown, again, he ain't paying us.
Yes.
But still, he takes a dinosaur skeleton, and he talks about, because fun fact, the chicken is the closest living relative to the dinosaur.
Yes.
And so he shows you how to break apart, like break down the legs, the thighs, and all the stuff, if you want to cut them right at the joints and everything, and how to break them. I do know some people, especially if they've got like they want to be making plates for people, or they got family members they want to give pieces to, they'll break down that turkey before they fry it. And then they got food that they can give out to folks. So that's another option.
It'll fry faster that way too.
Yeah, it will.
Last thing, please, 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 if you're going to travel, if you're going to follow the 3W, I would encourage people not to congregate during this time, during this holiday season. Get you a good Zoom account. Get the free to where you can get the loan. You can be on the unlimited time and really do Zoom Thanksgiving. Because this pandemic is real, man. Whole cities are shutting down. States are shutting down. This is not, and I've seen in my day job, I've seen way too many Facebook Lives from way too many doctors talking about the seriousness of this pandemic. So please, 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 if you're going to get together, wear a mask, have some sanitizer in your pocket. Get you the pocket size one, because they're still selling them. Get you one in your pocket, and every time you touch something, sanitize before you touch, and sanitize after you touch. Have your mask on the entire time, and try to stay as distant as possible, especially if you're going to have multi-generational people meeting together, because elderly, especially Black elderly, are more susceptible. People with comorbid conditions, if you've got multiple conditions, there is, I mean, there's direct evidence that shows that the virus attacks it better, because there's something called the inflammatory response. I know it's getting too deep, but the inflammatory response, what happens is when you have another condition, your inflammatory response is already compromised. And so therefore, when you get the virus, that doubles it, and your body can't fight it effectively. And that's how you go down. So that's the short Cliff Notes version of the hours of Facebook Lives I've seen and conducted over the past couple of days. So please, 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 if you're going to get together, wear a mask, have some sanitizing gel in your pocket, in your purse, wherever. Do not let it leave your person, and then try to stay socially distanced as much as possible. If you're going to get together, crowds less than 10, please. So you don't have too many people in the house, and you have the ability and the space to be able to sit apart if you have to be together. But if, and I know some people, if you're single or if you're just you and somebody else, you do want to get together. This is holidays. I mean, but sacrifice this 1 year so you can have more years to come.
I just want to challenge that for a second. Do you really want to get together? Because I mean, I think about how often we hear, complaints. I don't feel like cooking for all these people. My cousin better not show up with her raggedy boyfriend. You know what? You don't have to worry about any of that this year. You can just.
We love the fights. We love the fights.
No fights. Hey, if you can do a Zoom Thanksgiving, and all of a sudden, your cousin getting your nerves, you just and be out.
That's the beauty of it.
You know what? I'm out and just be gone. I'm not going home to Houston this year. And I had gotten out of the habit of going for Thanksgiving anyway, but I'm not going for Christmas either, because my sister has high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and diabetes. I am not going to jump off a plane and hug my sister. I'm just not.
Right.
She has lived a relatively hermit life anyway, so she's good. She's got a good routine. She's quarantined. It's her and her raggedy boyfriend at the house, and they go out and get groceries. They come back. They've been living that way for years, for the most part. And so I'm not going to introduce foreign bodies like myself, because I may have the best routine ever, and there's something on my coat, something in my hair, something on my cheek or whatever from the Hobby Airport in Houston. And next thing I know, my sister's sick. And the COVID gets her. I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, I ain't got to go home. I can sit here and chill in my sweatpants, eating my piece of fried turkey from Popeyes, because we good. We good. We're going to be good. I would rather miss a year than miss the rest of her life.
And that's the trade-off. That's what it is. And it's a little bit selfish to get to that point to where, like, I've got to see you now. I've got to see you right now. I got to see you this year. Damn, all that. It's like, look, keep them alive. So if we do what we're supposed to do now and this year, there will be a next year where you can possibly get together. But if we don't do what we need to do now, next year's going to be the same. And we're going to keep extending this out. People are going to continue to get sick. And yes, they are developing vaccines, treatments, all of that. And there's been a large pushback. I'm writing an article now about the Tuskegee experiment. Okay, we get it. However, what's the alternative?
Right.
If you don't want to take a vaccine, cool, I'm with you. Like, that's your decision as an adult. There's not going to be any laws forcing you to take a vaccine. But what's the alternative? And if the alternative is you got to wash your hands, wear a mask, and socially distance,
do that.
Or take a vaccine, you might want to consider taking that vaccine. I'm just saying.
You can't be anti everything. You can't have all the struggles. You can't not want to wear a mask, not really wash your hands properly, not want to stay away from people, and not take the vaccine. You're a walking petri dish. You're patient zero waiting to happen. So pick a lane and get in it. I plan to be all of the things. I plan to, if there is a reasonably safe and proven effective vaccine. That's what they call it, the vaccine. Although that's not a bad idea. But if there is a reasonably safe vaccine that has been tested and proven and everything, I'm going to continue to quarantine. I'm going to continue to stay in my little bubble. I literally have 3 different packs of sanitizer, one in the car, one in my purse, one in the store. I got alcohol spray on top of that. I have masks for every outfit. You know, that's what I'm going to be doing until the foreseeable future. You know,
that was one of the tips I gave for Black folks. I think I wrote an article about that, and I said, get your mask for your outfit to match your outfit. You know, we like to coordinate. Get the mask to coordinate. Wear the mask.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, definitely. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, guys. Yes, we all know about Tuskegee. That was 1930. Went on for 40 years. We got that. Yeah, I'm going to break it down for everybody. But here's the thing. During that whole Tuskegee experiment, there was nobody Black in key positions to say that that's not right. What we have now with COVID is, I was on a Facebook Live last night with a sister that is second to Tony Fauci, right? It's a Black woman that's leading the coronavirus study in the country, a Black woman. I was there on the call with the president of Meharry Medical School, who's on the committee that talks about and makes a decision on how and they get all the data on the vaccines and how it gets distributed. He's in the decision-making room helping that decision be made. There are Black doctors in key positions along every pathway with this vaccine. This is not like Tuskegee. This is not like where Black people had no control. We've got a lot of control, and we've got voices in the room, significant voices, decision-making voices in the room, making decisions about these vaccines. And they are making decisions, and they're thinking about Black people. Because when they come on blackdoctor.org, they're thinking about Black people, and that's why they're encouraging people to become part of the clinical trials, because there are some genetic differences in how we respond to medications than our white counterparts. And so therefore, if we're not in there, that vaccine will be great for Becky and Ken and Karen, but it's not going to be good for Keisha and Lakita. So you've got to make sure that they're there and we're there all the way and participating in the trial, so they can make a vaccine that's going to be effective for us in our community, because we're suffering more than any other racial group when it comes to this vaccine, this virus. So I'm going to close that piece out with this thing. Yeah, I need y'all to stay sanitized and stay prayed up. And I'm using that as a segue. We're gonna take a little break. We're at like our 30-minute mark. We want to make sure we give our sponsors some time, but we're gonna take a little break. When we come back, we're gonna get into religion. All right, and we'll be back in I can't do that. That's copyright. We'll be back in a couple minutes.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter. At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
And we're back, and you're watching Thoughts and Moments right here on the Jericho Broadcasting Network. That's our sponsors. And so I love the fact that people love the commercials. So that means they've been watching the commercials. I'm like, y'all actually watching the commercials? But hey, that's great. But you know, so I'm glad y'all are watching the commercials because those are our sponsors. And so we need y'all to watch them, call them. I don't know if you need to go to a Popka to get an attorney, but I just wanted to say a Popka. I'm sorry. That was just really, I'm just trying to, it's one of my favorite city names in the country, a Popka. Like, anyway.
Mine is, never mind.
So we came up with this idea during the show last week, and we said, okay, let's really kind of talk about it because we touched on religion last week, and then we said, let's save that for another show so we can kind of do a deeper dive into the way not only religion is and has been expressed in this country, but really how it's used as more control than it is about freedom. And so I started thinking about the things that, especially we're talking about evangelicals, right? Because those are a couple of big evangelicals were in the news recently about the election. You had, was it Paula White doing a rap song? I don't know what that was about. I saw the whole video. I don't know what that was about. She rapping and singing and chanting, whatever, even after he'd already lost. And people were really buying into that whole act. And then you had, I forget the dude's name, that started laughing incoherently and just, he was forcing that the fake laugh, and it was just kind of like, and people were with him, and it was like it was maniacal. That's the only way I can describe it. The way the laughter was, I was like, is it him or the Joker that's really going on right now? So you think about that, and then I started saying, okay, well, what are the tenets that run through this country? And one of the top ones is freedom of religion. But what they don't tell you is that freedom of religion, in the parentheses, is as long as you're a Christian and follow these Christian ideals to a T. That's the freedom of religion. Because any other religion gets shot down. Judaism, Muslim, any other religion gets shot down if you don't follow these specific tenets that have really, really strict. And so it really restricts your freedom when you think about it, but then you've got this freedom to worship whatever you want to do as long as you do it this way. Right. And I'm like, how does that land? And then you talk about freedom of speech, but as long as you don't say these things. You can't talk about God, you can't talk about this president, you can't talk about conservative presidents, this president, you can't talk about this, so it's like you can't talk about a woman's right to choose, you can't talk about social injustices, you can't talk about racism, but you've got freedom of speech. But that freedom is only in certain lanes that they want you to have. And then you've got, go ahead. Yeah,
I think another aspect that it gets overlooked when we talk about freedom of religion is some people, and not all, because I do not want to sweepingly categorize even evangelical Christians, because there are a lot of them that, well, there are some that don't ride with what's happening and have written articles about why they've left that their church, left the organization, left the thought, the cult of personality, if you will, because of what they see happening. But I will say that it seems as if people, I love to talk about cognitive dissonance. People love to say, we have a right to worship as we see fit. And there's a separation of church and state. But my religion says I should stop you from having these rights. My religious belief says I need to stop you from getting an abortion. Why are you in my uterus? Why can't I have the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the freedom to worship or not worship as I see fit? How is me, this goes all the way back to the Starbucks issues, et cetera, with happy holidays. How does me saying happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, how does me saying those things oppress your Christianity? How does me getting an abortion in Idaho oppress you in Florida, right? Just if you don't want anybody in your family to get an abortion, don't go there. Don't get it. But one of the biggest issues, even in this political race that was so charged with so many different things, a lot of people who want to say they're good Christians because they vote against abortion, voted for hate, for discrimination, for absolution of responsibility of our American president. They voted for all of that just on the tenet of you killing babies. They're killing people in the streets, grown people. You're not worried about them. And then there's that, again, that dissonance of they worry about the fetus, but they don't want to have any social services for the newborn child.
Nope.
That's another problem.
Nope. And I've had that discussion recently with the brother. It was with the black man, and he worked at a religious college, and I won't say which one. Mm-hmm. And he was asking me, how I felt, and I told him straight up. I said, "Here's the problem that I have is that you're anti-abortion, but then you're voting against social services. So you're not giving the child or the parent the opportunity to be successful in a situation." And I said, and statistically speaking, unwanted, unplanned pregnancies end up more often in neglect, abuse, and those situations create criminals. Mm-hmm. So you're in a situation where you don't want them to abort a child that's unwanted. And now every day that they have that child, every day they get reminded, and as a parent, children get on your nerve. My mom's watching right now. She can probably give you a yarn of stories about how I have gotten on her nerves. And you have to have wanted that child in order to not overstep those boundaries and move into abuse of a child. And so they don't think about all the way to the end. They just say, "Oh, we don't want you to abort," and then they stop, right? And then they cut off those services. "Oh, you're free." Then they call you a freeloader, right? When you start applying for social services, you start getting welfare, you start trying to get public assistance, then they call you a freeloader. So, well, I wouldn't have been a freeloader if you didn't force me to have this child. And so that's where I see the contradiction.
They fall back on, well, you should be abstaining from sex, bruh. Come on.
Right. And that's where I see the true contradiction, especially with this particular president in all of his moral downfalls. They just looked past that because he's anti-abortion, even though he doesn't have the ability as the president to overturn Roe versus Wade. Wait, that's a judicial issue. That's a Supreme Court issue that has to be pushed. But he didn't have any ability to do that. But they thought he was pro-life. Apparently, because he got on baby mamas, maybe he is pro-life. But
they wanted to have a conservative president that would put a conservative person, as he did, on the Supreme Court, so that if that judicial issue does make it that far, they feel like it'll be struck down, overturned, or whatever. I don't know that that's going to go the way they thought it was, but I do know that there were people that were planning to vote for him until she got confirmed, and they were like, "Oh, good, I don't have to vote for him now." And I'm like, "You didn't have to vote for him before. There are other ways for you to get these things done." And I'm going to go deep conspiracy theory on you. If you really take a 10,000, 100,000 space level look at it, pushing for a ban on all abortion, because they try to ban all of it. Their goal is not even if it's rape, not even if it's a threat to the mother's life, not even if it's going to have low quality of life as a fetus, as a child. Banning all abortions, what you end up doing is breeding low cost labor. Because yes. What's done is, again, like you said, no social services, no social safety net. Either you're going to fall into of course, there are going to be people that can lift themselves up, make it out. We see that pretty routinely, but it is 1 in 1,000. So what happens to these other 999 kids that didn't make it out? The percentage of kids that go to the NFL is less than 1%. So where's the rest of them? And they either end up, and this is irrespective of race. I mean, we do
Absolutely.
Through our lens of being Black people, but at the same time, poor people tend to breed poor people, because how do you get out of it? How do you don't just up and buy a house. Even if you win the lottery, we know stories of people that win the lottery and they poor again 2 years later because they haven't learned to manage money, blah, blah, blah. Long and short of it is, if you have a demographic, regardless of how you slice it up, that cannot escape poverty, they either maintain that low level of subsistence of barely surviving, or they turn to crime. And then mass incarceration, put them on the chain gang. Now you got the low cost labor you're looking for. So it's either minimum wage or $1 a day. That's what they're pushing towards with overpopulating the United States.
And here's the reality of the situation is, because they don't teach financial planning in schools, they don't teach all those things in public schools, and it's just in grade school at all, unless you're at those private schools that have that as part of their curriculum. But in the general population, we don't get that. I'm fairly educated and fairly intelligent, and I had to teach myself. It wasn't until I got older and made some bad decisions as an adult. But luckily, I had the ability and the means and the wherewithal to get myself out of bad situations and put myself on a better space. Just think if you are starting with a lower intellectual capacity to be able to understand finances and how it all works and how it all connects, and then you don't have the means or the ability, like to go to college and get a degree, to get a job that pays you more, to be able to pay off some of those bills and get out of some of the debt. You're in a world of hurt, and you're right. You just become low-cost labor. I mean, one of the things that Donald Trump said that they just walked right through was he said, "I love the uneducated. They love me." And he said that, and that was really shade, in the black vernacular, that was really shade being thrown at all of them standing there cheering and yelling and waving their signs for him, because he realizes they don't understand that the tax cut he did was for his wealthy friends or people that he wants to be friends with and big business, that they didn't realize that their taxes are going to go up starting in 2021. Right. But they can just say, "Hey, we love him." And he's like, I love that uneducated, because you're not going to read the entire tax plan. You're not going to understand how you're being played, and you're being pitted against other Americans for my personal benefit. Mm-hmm. He's not doing it for anything else. He's not doing it for those people in Iowa and all the flyover states that are standing there cheering him, saying, "Yeah, deport the Mexicans." And
none of whom make more than $400,000 a year.
None of whom.
So y'all ain't in Biden's tax plan. Your taxes aren't going up. Mine aren't going up. There may be some, adjustments here and there. I may lose a particular, credit or whatever, but none of that really matters when it talks about what your effective tax rate is going to be. And I don't expect that to go up, because I am hell and far from $400,000 a year. I've never made that much money in my life. And here's the thing, my boss and his boss, I know what they make because I accidentally found it and looked one day. Neither one of them made more than $400,000 a year.
Right.
You may have other investments. Maybe you've got a house or, a trust fund or whatever. If the income off of that doesn't get you over that hump, you are still not part of that tax plan. So miss me with this nonsense. He's going to raise my taxes. Dude, you drive a Dodge Stratus. He ain't raising your taxes. You know what I'm saying?
Look, if you're still getting a refund every year, you ain't in that tax bracket, okay?
If anybody signs your check, you're probably not in that tax bracket. If you need a check from someone else, you're not in that tax bracket.
You're not in that tax bracket, right? So I do know some people in that tax bracket, and they're split, and the split has been primarily on racial lines, but not always, right? So, and I'm up here in the northern suburbs where folks are living well, and they're the quiet Trump supporters. And I could put a sign up. They're not going to wear the MAGA hat, whatever, but they understand, hey, look, they're voting. They have that privilege of voting for one issue, like the evangelicals. They're voting on one issue. They're one issue voter. Oh, abortion, he's anti-abortion, even though it may not be overturned at any point, because he's anti-abortion, I'm voting for him, and I'm going to turn a blind eye to all the other stuff that he's doing.
Now, I want to get
same thing with the $400,000 folks, the people that are making that kind of money. They go, "Well, I don't want my taxes to go up, so I'm gonna vote on this. But I don't like the way he talks. I don't like what he says. But my taxes and my money are more important than all the tension that's caused here in America, because actually the suburbs is a bubble. Like we don't. I'm the only person that feels it because I'm tuned into it. But when I start going around here, they may be having private conversations. They may be having side conversations. But for the most part, this is a bubble. We don't think about coronavirus. We don't think about the what's going on in the country. We don't think about any of that. Every once in a while, somebody will get brave enough to ask me, and then after I start hitting them with enough facts, then they leave me alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who's guys talking to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
But in terms of religion, right? So one of the things that I was raised in the church. I'm saying that for my mom. She's still watching.
I see.
But I was raised in the church.
She didn't whoop you enough, by the way. This Mom Belton, you did not whoop him enough. I just want you to know that. I told him that in 2014. I stand by it. He needed at least 3 more whoopings.
But and my grandfather was a minister. He was an AME preacher. So going up there and spending summers with him, church was a little bit demystified for me, right? So I didn't go for, because I knew I was behind the scenes. I saw, it's like, going to see the wizard. I saw all the levers and everything, and you see the routine that goes each week. And so you kind of know how it works. So you get a little bit of jaded from that, but in that space, that made me read the Bible and say, okay, look, if we're going to be Christians, let's understand what our faith is based on. Mm-hmm. And so you start reading the Bible and you realize that the Bible gives you two things. It gives you discernment to realize the false prophets that are out there that are selling you a bill of goods. And it shields you from all that foolishness, right? So when I'm seeing Paula White doing her situation, or
whatever she's doing.
I mean, she was allegedly speaking in tongues. And then Kenneth Copeland, thanks, Greg.
She was saying to sign this squash, but not. I heard it. I'm lying.
Yeah, I'm like, what is that about? And so we have, and then you've got this rise of prosperity preachers where they're making millions of dollars and having private jets and getting on TV. You got Peter Popoff with his miracle water, and Jim Baker was selling these kits and these big buckets with kits with food in it. And you're watching these shows, and like, people are really buying into this because they need something. They need some sort of understanding. They need some sort of tie to, okay, what's this whole life thing about? And we all know that we're going to die at some point in our lives. And you're like, well, what's next? And then somebody tells you, oh, let me tell you about all this great, what's happening. And you believe that. And you can believe that. And I don't knock anybody for believing that. I believe it. However, then they started putting all these rules that, oh, this is what you need to get a little bit better. If heaven is heaven, if heaven is the way it's described, mm-hmm. Why do I need to give you money, more money, to get a better piece of the earth? Like, I don't understand. There's some things that are contradictory, especially with the evangelicals and how they have twisted and contorted themselves.
Here's the thing. Do you know how many people have been exiled, ostracized, excommunicated, burned at the stake behind putting forth the idea that you don't have to go through the church to get to God? I'm being serious.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And another thing I want to touch on, because we're talking about the American evangelical cult of personality, like we mentioned before, and how it doesn't add up. If you say that you are a good Christian and you want to live a Christian life and Christian values, then did you read the Bible, or are you reading another Bible? Because the Bible that I read growing up and that I still read from time to time, especially when I want to look up something, I remember Jesus being an agitator. I remember Jesus flipping tables and saying, I'm sick of these money changers. I'm sick of these people making money off everybody. Here's somebody who is homeless and broke. Feed him, take care of this poor person. That sounds a whole lot suspiciously like socialized medicine and social safety net to me. I remember putting on my page one day, and this was years before I became, the activist I am today. And I just said, Jesus was a socialist. Just as a joke, just to be posting something. But I did think that there was some merit to the thought, and the anger, the venom, the DMs that I got telling me that I was saying Jesus was satanic, what I had done, and that I was misunderstanding the gospel and something, all these other kind of things. And I'm like, what Bible are you reading? And do you really understand what socialism really is? Socialism is everybody putting in on taking care of everybody else. It doesn't mean that nobody can be rich. It doesn't mean that everybody just gets a free ride. It means that we make sure that the poorest, the sickest, the weakest among us are taken care of. That is one of the tenets of being a good Christian, is making sure. This is actually something that I literally live by. Yeah. If I can help somebody and it doesn't cost me anything, it doesn't hurt me in any way to help them, then I should help them. And so I'm not telling everybody to give away their parents, house and to, tear their clothes and wear sackcloth or whatever and run around and be poor. I'm saying if you got $30 million just sitting in a trust, you
Right.
can break off $1,000 for somebody to get health care. You're not even gonna miss it. You blowing it on Birkin bags, so if you have excess, give of that excess, if to whatever your ability is. I'm not saying it only has to be the super rich. We can all pitch in, even at my income level now. If somebody said, hey, I need you to give up 4% of your income to make sure that those kids over there have after school program. All right, I can do that.
I think we've gone down this slippery slope, and the part that I found the most confusing is how they're using the church to get this messaging out that if it's about helping other people, it's socialism.
Yeah,
and then
socialism is the devil. Yeah,
and then you say, well, absolutely, I'm with you 100%. Like, did you read the Bible? Did you not understand?
But now,
did you know that the story of the fish and the 2 loaves of bread, that's socialism? Like, did you not understand that the story of him turning water into wine,
right?
Socialism.
Jesus was down on the couch, right? Like, you got that, right? Like, he ain't had no house.
All the healings when he healed the blind, sick.
You can do that for insurance reasons.
Socialized medicine. It was socialized medicine. So it is disingenuous to, and this is where I get the most frustrated, to call yourself a Christian and not understand when you're against all of those other things, all of those Christian things that are in the Bible that you wave and yell at people about. You say, okay, well then what are you preaching about? Like what does your Christianity say, other than don't kill babies and get as many guns as you can and make sure that poor people stay down, even when you're amongst them, right? Because you feel, and that's the Jedi mind trick that's been played, is that you've got the poorest people in this country railing against something that could help them because they believe somehow that one day, whether they scratch a ticket or they put the right 6 numbers down, that they too can become rich and be part of that class. And they're thinking about, well, how would I behave if I had $30 million? I would want to give it away too.
Him and her in their multi-million-dollar lifestyle, because one day maybe I can get that too. And that is the biggest lie that has been sold to the average.
Biggest lie.
You can't. You won't. I want to share something because Stephen Colbert was one of my favorite nighttime shows. I loved him on the Colbert Report, but he said this when he was still doing the Colbert Report a few years ago. He said, if this is going to be a Christian nation that doesn't help the poor, either we have to pretend that Jesus was just as selfish as we are, or we've got to acknowledge that he commanded us to love the poor and serve the needy without condition, and then admit that we just don't want to do it. And I love that. He's like, either you fess up that what you're doing is against what Jesus, the word of God, commanded you to do, or admit that you're not about that life. Don't what do they say? Don't pee on my shoe and tell me it's raining.
Yeah. I think the ultimate thing, and this is what I've said to some people before, and they got really, really, really upset, is I said, they're using church as some sort of confessional or some way to assuage the guilty feelings that come with being that selfish, right? So
now, also remember that the Catholic Church back in the day used to sell tickets to heaven, basically. It wasn't that way. You can make a huge donation and then become a member, and it would absolve you. You could be you could go to confession and be absolved of everything for nice. I mean, was it Godfather 3? I think Don Corleone tried to buy his way back in. And they were like, nah, bro, I can't, not for you. But it was very much a done thing at one point. Yeah. So this idea of prosperity preaching and of buying your way into heaven through being rich is not new either.
Right. And they use that phrase that it's easier for
camel to go through the eye of a needle
than a rich man to get into heaven. Mm-hmm. And so they use that all the time, but the people that keep preaching that are rich, right? So it's like, wait a minute, they tell the poor people to be humble and
give up their worldly things.
And give up their worldly goods and follow, and don't,
we got churches out here checking W-2s.
Exactly.
Make sure you
Black churches Black churches
That's what I'm
checking
talking about.
W-2.
Black churches.
Yeah, I think it was in Creflo. I think Creflo's church. I'll call them out.
The name is Creflo Dollar. You know he's checking W-2.
And it's kind of funny because I was thinking about every time I hear his name, I think about that skit on In Living Color. So I'm dating myself. But remember when they would do the preacher sketch, and he would say dollar, and he's like, dollar bills, y'all. And it was Damon Wayans.
Yes.
And he would do that. Like, and I would see, and every time I hear Creflo Dollar, I'd be like, and he was the Reverend Cash. And so that was his name. He was the Reverend Cash.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Dollar bills, y'all. And so I was like, and I was like, it's eerily similar how art is imitating life, that now, today you've got this guy, his name is Creflo Dollar, and he convinced people that he needed a private plane because he couldn't be amongst everybody else flying, and he couldn't get to his flock by flying, commercial. So he needed a private plane at $16 million. And then he needed to upgrade his private plane a few years ago. And he needed
his ostentatious wealth was supposed to reflect on how healthy his church was.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. And there's people that are there in the church that are supporting it and that believe it and follow it. And you're like, wait a minute, we've gotten so far away from the tenets of Christianity that now it becomes just a useful political tool more so than somebody really, really thinking about how, like, they don't even think, like, people call themselves Christian and they don't even think about how they could help other people that aren't like them, right? So they stop at helping people that are like them. Like they'll do that part. Oh, if you come to my church and do the way and follow the way I want you to be, then I can help you out a little bit. But if you just a person that's hungry, that's poor, that might be, using some drugs, whatever. Oh, no. And what did your God tell you to do? So I saw a lady today, true story. I saw a lady that had to leave the house because somebody wanted to see the house. So we had to leave. And sitting in Panera working, I see a lady outside the Huddle House, and obviously homeless, bundled up and clothes. And I was sitting there, and the thought of me came to me. I was like, I'm sitting here in Panera. I should probably take her, something to eat, or at least take her a coffee where she can stay warm, at least for a little bit. And as I was getting ready to get up, a car pulls up, and a lady gets out and handed her a meal, a styrofoam thing. And I said, that's the spirit of Christianity. And I'm glad I saw it, because I had it, but I was hesitant because I don't want to be presumptuous, but I'm like, I know homeless when I see it. She's sitting there and she's got blankets and everything is sitting right there. And I was just like, Christianity is about helping that person.
Yes.
With seeking no glory, seeking no
you don't need to take
acknowledgement for doing it.
You don't need to do all
that. I'm not taking a selfie. Oh, look, this homeless lady I helped today. Come here, get in the shot. And I got to use right filter.
Hashtag charity.
Right. Hashtag charity. So it's like, I think we've gotten too far away from that spirit of what should be going on and how far we've gotten. And ministers have wanted to become popular. Paula White likes to read her name in the paper. And so therefore she's doing things for that. It's like, you're creating social media for likes instead of telling people how your life is really going.
So when you say art imitates life or life imitates art, however it may manifest, I want to bring up again, if you have not read the Earthseed series by Octavia Butler, I suggest you check it out, because in the first book, it's 2023 in the first book, and society has gone to hell in a handbasket. There are neighborhoods have become like little walled, like Walking Dead little forts where people got to put a gate up to protect themselves from the crazy drug addicts outside. $1,500 might buy you a week's worth of groceries because inflation is so high. Corporations own cities. And so if you live in a particular city, it's no longer San Francisco, it's Appleville. I'm making that part up. I don't remember what corporation, but the idea, again, going back to that low cost labor, we let you live here and we pay for your water and utilities, and you work for us and don't ask for nothing else. Like that sort of mentality. But the reason I bring it up is a person comes to power through the Christian evangelical background. He is a fire and brimstone minister. He gets elected to the highest office in the land and creates what they call American Christianity.
Mm.
And if you do not practice American Christianity, then the Mormons, the Lutherans, AME, Seventh-day Adventists, everything else that is not American Christianity, in addition to Buddhism, Hinduism, et cetera, atheism, all of that, is subject to persecution. And I'm not talking about just putting your political enemies in prison. I'm talking burning at the stake. I'm talking torture and rape. I'm talking a complete extermination of anyone that didn't agree with their particular type of Christianity. And again, the reason I bring this up is every now and then I hear something or see something that reminds me of that book. It's actually 2 books. Read them both. And here's the thing. Ultimately, America gets out of it. They realize they've gone off the deep end and they pull themselves back. The electoral process still works. This is what you're going to get used to. You hear these sirens going, this is Midtown, bro. That's what you get. But, and they pull themselves back, but not before thousands of people lost their lives to this idea of American Christianity. And one of the characters in the book, her daughter is taken from her because she's not a fit mother because she is atheist, right? She tries to get her minister brother to help her find her child, but her minister brother is in the American Christian Church, don't want to help her, and so you think about, it sounds preposterous until I started realizing it's 2020 and I hear things that remind me of this story. This was written in, I want to say 1998, right? Way far beyond where we are in the past and where we are now. But again, we always think it couldn't happen here. We'll never get that bad, but we forget we're a country that burned women at the stake for knowing how to use penicillin, for talking back to men, for having sex outside their marriage. They were all witches, and we burned plenty of them. How
many slaves were killed because they learned how to read?
Learning how to read was a killable. That is a capital offense to know how to read. Right. Yes. There have been people that have been killed trying to vote. This country has a violence that we don't talk about, and to think that we have evolved from that just because we have, running running plumbing and the internet. It gives life to the reality of who we really are. And what's the name of the guy? He was on CNN talking about, this is us. This is who we are. 70+ million people voted in the manner that said what they were seeing in the world right now was fine with them.
Yes, and wanted 4 more years of it, right? And that's what I was trying to tell you. I was like, because they were like, oh, it wasn't as close as when I'm thinking what Chris was talking last week. But was it close? Like 70 million people still said that's okay. Like what he was doing and saying.
He voted for Obama in either election.
Right. That was okay. And it took 75 million people to say that's not okay. Right. It took the most votes in history for a president in history to say that's not okay. So has that restored my faith a little bit? Yes. But it's still almost half the country that were okay with that. They were okay with him telling, when they had some clashes, there was some Trump supporter and they had some clashes there in DC, to tell the police, don't hold back, do what you need to do. Right. That was okay for our president to say, and again, I said this last week, and I'm gonna keep banging this drum. Stop, and I guess I'm not even speaking to our audience, because our audience, we educate them every week. But for the Trump supporters, when you're talking to Trump supporters, tell them to stop with the conspiracy theories and the fake stories. Read what's going on in court.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania, he asked just to throw out the results.
Right.
The results that are in Biden's favor, throw them out because there's been massive voter fraud, which is all.
Rudy Giuliani was on C-SPAN today, sweating brown goo, and that's a whole nother story, right? But he said that he had affidavits of people saying they saw thousands of ballots that came in for Joe Biden, and that
what did he present in court?
Yeah, but
he's got affidavits, but those affidavits never made it to court. When they asked attorneys,
there's nothing wrong with having a vote for Joe Biden. What he was trying to imply was that anybody who voted for Joe Biden was a lie, and that they couldn't have had these votes for Joe Biden because that would mean that Biden won, and we know that didn't happen. And so because Trump said he won by a lot.
He said, I won by a lot. You're like, no, you didn't.
A bigly lot. Yes.
Right. And so that's the thing. But when they're going to court, those affidavits somehow don't make it to court. They make it to the court of public opinion.
Right.
They make it to the court of TV, and they make it to the court of social media, but they never make it to the legal court, because what's happening in a legal court is completely different than what he's saying on television and what he's out there with all these binders. I read an article, they talked about Katie McKinley and all this stuff, and they're holding just binders full of just blank pieces of paper. Look at all this evidence, but that evidence never makes it to court. But guess what? There's 70 million people that's buying what they're selling, and that's why they're going to keep selling it, and they're going to try to take all these people away, and keep them loyal to him, even in Biden's presidency. You notice he's been firing people, he's removing troops, he's setting fires all over the world that Biden's going to have to be running around trying to put out, just because he wants to sabotage his presidency.
Absolutely.
And that's not American.
Right.
That's not somebody that loves their country, but they'll say up and down, oh, he loves his country.
Just because you kiss a flag on television doesn't mean that you.
Oh my gosh.
It means you
that display on the 4th of July with the 300 flags. I'm like, you're draping yourself. And that's, as my word of the day that I said earlier, that's jingoism. That's the essence of jingoism. What you see every time he comes out there playing these songs and all the flags and the red, white, that's the essence of jingoism. You really don't believe in America if you believe you're just believing in all that other stuff and not the true tenets of what's going on in that Constitution.
So there's one other aspect that I want to talk about, especially when we get into what it means to be Christian, what it means to be evangelical, and how it's not like adding up. And that is the mentality of scarcity. You know, so you have, well, what I mean by the mentality of scarcity is, if I give you something, that means I don't have it because there's not enough to go around. That is at the basis of how a lot of this stuff gets propagated. When people say, well, I can't let them get better jobs because then I won't get a job. The Mexicans, which is always just a broad term for any sort of Latinx in different sections of the United States. The Mexicans are taking your job. Really? Because I ain't never seen you on a roof, not near time. I ain't seen you not pick near strawberry. Because I'm talking about the migrant workers that come in and do a lot of manual labor, and then they go back to Mexico. They come every season. And then when they first started banning or making it hard for migrant workers to get into the country to do this seasonal work, who suffered? The farmers, who used to count on that to get their crops and stuff laying fallow in the field because they're taking our jobs. I don't see yourself out there picking not near fruit, right?
We've had record bankruptcies of farmers underneath this presidency, but people are not even talking about that because that doesn't fit the narrative that they're trying to push. The narrative.
Exactly.
I had 3 in getting my house ready for sale. We got the roof redone. We had the entire house interior painted and exterior painted, and we had carpet put in, brand new carpet put in. Not one person that came into my home to do that work was white or black. They were all Latinx. Mm-hmm. They were all, they spoke, they had the one crew member that could speak English, and that was the person that was coming to talk to me when they were asking me something. Everybody else, all I heard was them speaking Spanish. They had it on the Spanish station when they were playing music. It was the Spanish station, and they was playing their music, and I didn't have any problem with it, but I'm saying this, those were jobs, and I know how much we paid for all of those services, several $1,000s, but those are real jobs. But that was hard labor what they were doing, but they were very efficient. They came in and did work, and they worked their whole day. They took their 45-minute lunch break and they started working again. And so I'm like, where are these jobs they're taking? You're not in those jobs. You don't want those jobs. Throwing watermelons and there's a video on YouTube of what it's like to cut celery. Mm-hmm. Have you seen that video?
I haven't.
I'm not finna do that.
I ain't trying to do that. I remember the president of Mexico, the same one that told Trump about Taco Tuesday or whatever, the one that said F Trump on camera over and over again. I like him, but I can't remember his name at the moment. But I remember before he fell out of favor with the United States because he made this statement when they were talking about illegal immigration and people coming from Mexico into the United States and taking jobs or whatever. And what he said was, the Mexicans that are coming into y'all's country doing jobs that even the black people won't do. And he caught hell from white people who wanted to say that's racist and everything. The black folks was like, no, he ain't got a point because I ain't doing it. And so I understood exactly what he was saying. But at the same time, every empire needs some form of low-cost labor. And so if you push out the people who are willing to come here and do these back-breaking tasks for minimal payment, because again, when you have migrant workers here on a short-time visa or illegals, whatever they may be, they're not getting health insurance. They're it doesn't matter if they pay taxes or not because they're making $25 a day. So miss me with the whole, they don't pay taxes. They don't make enough money to pay taxes on that particular type of low-cost labor. But at the same time, you have them, you have them coming in, you have them doing this work, and you have them leaving. And you have other people who are saying, I'm looking for work. I don't see you down at Home Depot at 4:00 in the morning trying to get a day job, a day laborer job. And it's there, it's available, but you're waiting to get the health insurance, the benefits, the union, etc.
The time off.
Yeah, paid time off. You ain't
Vacation.
getting none of that. You ain't getting none of that. And the idea that we could exist without it is a lie. We have always had, whether it was slavery or indentured servitude, because you got to also remember that they did the same thing to Asians going into Hawaii. Come work here for a certain number of years, and then you kind of like earn your right to stay. It was indentured servitude there too. We've always, most countries have some low-cost labor model, and to push these people back out of the country through our own xenophobia is to force who to do it? Prisoners. And once again, we're back to what I talked about before with breeding low-cost labor. Somebody's got to do it because, Mitzi and them ain't giving up their hand-picked strawberries and champagne on Sunday morning. They're just not.
They're not. But the sad thing is, again, as my mother used to say all the time, don't cut off your nose to spite your face.
Right.
Okay. So he's got a million sayings. That's one of them that I remember. Mm-hmm. And that's what seems to be happening right now with the 70 million is that they've gotten so deep in this and they're like, oh, they're messing up America. Okay, push them all out. Then what?
Who's gonna do it?
Who's gonna cut your grass? Who's gonna clean the hotel rooms? That's where you see or don't see because you walk right by them oblivious. But as a Black man, I see all those people and I'm like, you're not going to fill those jobs because they can't have you calling off and I need this day off, I need my birthday off, blah blah blah. And you're going to drive up the cost of that particular of the employment cost of that particular company so high that they're gonna just funnel that right to you, and that room is gonna get so high, and everything's gonna get so much higher because those migrant workers, those ones that might be illegal.
You don't get cheap food at Walmart without having low-cost labor to pick it in the first place.
Exactly. Exactly, because that capitalist society says you try to maximize your profit. And so when your labor cost goes up, guess what? Your price goes up.
Now, I also want to mention, because we have harped on one extreme end of immigrant labor workforce, but you also have people who were first generation Americans, the doctors, kids and everything, who are now anywhere from still in high school to graduated from medical school, and they are contributing members of our society. And the idea that you could grow up here, be born here, but because your parents weren't, we might push you out depending on whether or not we feel like it or whatever. That first off, it's evil to me. But secondly, when we talk about being competitive, about having innovation, about being a real first world nation, you can't throw away all of that talent just because it doesn't look like you. This is the goose and the golden egg story. Yes.
Right? America, where it is right now. It's symbolic of that. America wants a golden egg, but they don't want to keep and feed and keep that goose alive. So they want everybody that's doing the work to make America one of the richest countries in the world. All those people that's doing that work, they want to push them out, because they want to get. Oh, we just want the golden egg, but we don't want to see all y'all. We just want to enjoy our golden egg and not be reminded how we got it. Right? They don't want to be reminded how they got the golden egg.
They want to pretend we didn't get it that way.
They want to pretend that they did it themselves, and it's like, no, that's not the way it gets down. Which is why when you start teaching the true history of this country, it's called anti-American. Right. Because American says we lie about how we got to where we are. in terms of prosperity, much like the Trump family, because they lie about being, coming in and being wealthy and rich, and they were really, dealing in nefarious activities to make the money.
I can't even count how many American barons got their start bootlegging, stealing, cheating one of their partners out of something. Hell, even Steve Jobs did it. Ask Wozniak what really went down with Apple. That's the American way.
Well, what's the story, the movie about Facebook, the social?
Zuckerberg, dirty.
Zuckerberg.
As he's still on his platform talking dirty about him. I'll say it again. Zuckerberg you ain't. I'm not gonna say
our friend of the show, James Herndon, said those jobs are always available, and I've almost always turned them down.
He said he is not for warehouse manual labor.
I've done it. It's not. I did it with temporary work in summer from college. Right. It is, and so in the bigger picture, if you're going to do that kind of work, but then you got people that want to vote down affordable health care.
Yeah.
And those are people that need it the most. The ones that are hurting their backs, that are cutting themselves because they're working with, and being exposed to foreign subs, breathing in. You think about, he wants good, clean coal, but understand that black lung disease is a direct result of those people working in the coal mines.
Yeah.
And so you're like, there's no such thing as good, clean coal, right? And the way to burn coal cleaner eliminates jobs, right? So the better, so it's like you're talking on both sides of your mouth, and you don't. And again, I always tell people, when you say something, I want you to tell me how that's going to play out long term. Don't tell me we got to do this. Tell me how it's going to play out. Follow it all the way to the end. Don't just tell me about now. This is what you want now. Okay, how does that play out? Because if we got rid of all the Mexicans, we got rid of all the Latinx people in the country.
Then what?
Then what? You're going to really start pushing for a livable wage, right? That's what Bernie Sanders was talking about.
Right.
You're really going to be pushing for that.
Right.
But for all y'all to have a livable wage, guess what's going to happen? Prices are going to go up, and that livable wage is not going to be livable anymore, right?
Right.
So,
all of a sudden, Walmart is going to have Whole Foods prices. And my dad used to tell me this all the time. America is only a couple of hungry days away from total anarchy. If you get to the point where the average American can't afford to eat, chaos, Walking Dead level chaos.
Yes. So we have to be very, very careful and there's some things that we just have to make sure that we don't get so far ahead of ourselves that we are really going to do some irreparable damage going forward. And I think, I'm encouraged at the fact that more people voted and enough people voted for Joe Biden to elect him. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that, once Trump stops his, month-long temper tantrum, that and he does officially transition, that hopefully some of the heat will kind of turn down a little bit in this country, and we can get back to really healing. And I know that's the word that Biden's been saying a lot, and that's where I'm with him on that. I've got to watch his policies and what he really does. But in terms of the one thing that I do agree with 100% is that we do have to heal as a nation and get beyond the rhetoric, get beyond the nastiness, that was coming. People were following the lead of the president, starting, really be empowered by his nastiness. And so hopefully we can get back to some sort of civility as a nation.
And so we do this every week. We have a topic and then we just be talking about whatever. But so just turning it back around to how evangelical Christianity is not adding up. What we really meant by that title is literally practice what you preach.
Yes.
Say that you're going to be a good Christian and that you care about your fellow man. Don't just care about the fetuses. Care about the teenagers. Care about the babies. Care about their parents. Care about how they're all going to get along and lift themselves up. Help them all, not just the unborn ones. Help the born ones. Make sure they don't get shot by the police. Make sure they can get an education. Make sure they can have a livable wage. All of that is helping your fellow man. All of that is what a good Christian should do and should vote for. So that's my soapbox.
Let's look at the statistics. So in the states that are most conservative, especially that southern kind of pact, states that are most conservative, the states that are the most against abortion, have the highest teen pregnancy rates. They have the lowest education. They have the lowest education rates and have the poorest populations. So I'm not saying that I'm not drawing a direct line of correlation, but what I am saying is this: you're cutting off everything for one thing, right? So there's no, you're not putting money into education. You're throwing all of your weight behind abortion, right?
And I'll even go further, and I'm going to get controversial here. They are dabbling in idolatry.
Yep.
Because they are worshiping a person, a man, Donald Trump, and they are foregoing the things that they learned in church, or even sometimes the things that they have taught others in church to support their God, you know, in talking, you know, that is extremely dangerous.
It is, right, because they're no longer really Americans. They're Trumpians, right? And so they're so enamored by him that they forgot about this country was built on and written in the Constitution, allegedly a free election, and that you have to support your elected leaders, whether you voted for them or not. You should be supporting your elected leaders. He is the president. When Al Gore conceded and W won that election, I was like, damn, he's the president. I'm not happy about this. But I wasn't just like,
she just went off in the forest, like, I'm out. You know, she didn't keep up attention. Matter of fact, when Hillary lost, I think Obama had Trump in the White House to do transition like 2 days later.
Yeah.
Or something like this. Here we are. We're a week and a half out and 2 weeks out and nothing.
2 weeks out, and this dude is still asking Pennsylvania to be overturned, just asking the judge to hand it to him. He's mad at these Republican secretaries of state that are following the law and saying you lost. And are sort of, and about it, and I mean, Raffensperger, he is going higher and higher in my book because he has become real gangster.
Yeah.
And so, and he's
like, yo, they on some bull. I don't even know what they're talking about. Right.
And he's going on interviews and he's calling them all out because they're trying to get him in back rooms to say, you could throw out those votes or whatever. Can't you just leak, you know? And it's like, no, I'm not throwing out these legally cast votes. No, I'm not throwing them out.
I can respect that. I respect him as a public official. It doesn't matter what side you're on. Do what you know.
That's called integrity.
Integrity.
That's a word. And it's not about a political ideation. It's about having integrity. And he's saying, no, we went hard. And he fired the Homeland Security chief that said the election results were secure. Oh, you got to go. No, he's got to, you know. So he's firing everybody that doesn't say what he wants to hear. That's not even good in business. Take it away from politics. That's not good in business. He's not been a good businessman
either.
You're right. Yeah.
Right.
I'm still waiting on my Trump steaks.
I ain't never bought nothing with his name on it. I'm very proud of that. But
I got a degree from Trump University. It ain't worth a damn.
But I do want to get to the point where we don't find our way into talking about him every week. I want to move on. I want my life to move on. I want my life back. I want to unpack my go bag. I want to be able to just, you know, run the streets on any given day, with or without a mask, depending on vaccines or whatever. I want us to get to that point. Until then, I want to keep it. The reason we do this, the reason we have this show, the reason we use our platform this way is because we want people to understand that the fight is not over. The struggle is real. We still have another Senate runoff race, and we're going to continue to remind people to vote early in that Senate runoff race here in Georgia, because
December 14th is when they start. I believe it runs from the 14th to the 31st, and I'm on it.
If you're going to be 18 before December 5th, you can still register to vote for that runoff election. You have until December 5th to vote, to register to vote into that January election on January 5th. So get out there and do it if you need to or if you can. And the reason this is so serious is if Mitch McConnell maintains control of the Senate, they're going to block Biden just like they blocked Obama. Yeah. And everything that he wants to do, everything we want to push through is going to have that much of a harder, a hard road to hoe if we have it with that. But if we can get even one of them in, it makes it.
It's going to be an all or none situation.
It is.
This is really about if you're going to vote blue or you're going to vote red, because people are going to vote, they're going to vote down that party line.
Right. So, and remember that
because Trump is not on the ticket, this is going to be a straight Republican versus Democrat call.
Right. But here's the thing, it is going to be red versus blue, Crips and Bloods, whatever. But at the same time, the voter turnout for a runoff election is usually very, very low.
Very low.
Everybody's to win. And because of the way that this presidential election has been cast in the media, you know, when you got Trump saying, I won by a lot, this didn't rig, et cetera, the people that support him are going to be mustering as much support for their party or the party that they find themselves in as the people who support John Ossoff and Ralph Warnock. And so it's going to be another race to the finish line.
There are stories about people, and I can't verify this, but I have read stories about people moving to Georgia to be able to vote in this runoff so they can register by December 5th. The Republican side, the conservative side, because they want to maintain that control. That's how serious it is to them about control. And
all them shirts Black people be wearing talking about, hey, Atlanta is full. No, it's not. Come on down. Change your driver's license before December 5th if you want to. You know, come on in.
No, this election is gonna be the last one I vote in Gwinnett County. I'm gonna make sure I vote because I don't even want to go through all that trouble and then somehow my registration gets lost or whatever if I'm changing that stuff. I'm not playing anytime play. Plus, I'm not even gonna play. I'm gonna vote. That's gonna be my last vote. I'm gonna vote early, December 14th. I'm gonna be there, vote, get that in, and then I can worry about moving after that.
Absolutely. So it's 6:31. We will talk about that, but we got stuff to do. I'm starving as usual. I'll be hungry.
For real.
So for real.
I'm hungry. I need a drink, and Thursday night football game is good tonight. So I'm about to go sit down and shut my day down. It's been a long, rough day. So
again, just remember that if you want to live a good Christian life, do good Christian things. That's all we're asking.
It ain't that hard. It's not that hard. It's like the 10 Commandments are that, and then don't even read Old Testament. Just read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and focus on what Christ is saying, what He is saying about things that man need to be wary of, right? And He's talking about be wary of money. He's telling about be wary of following the love of money. Be wary of following false prophets. That's what, he ran afoul. The church is the one that sold him out because they were selling a bill of goods to the people. And he was like, no. You don't need to do that. You just need to repent, follow this way and treat people and love your neighbor as yourself and do these. These are the, you're right. It's point blank in the Bible. They asked him, what is the commandment that's the most important? And he said of all of them, he said, love thy neighbor as thyself. Jesus said that. In the Bible they allegedly read, Jesus said the most important commandment is love thy neighbor as thyself.
Oh, I'm gonna share a sermon with y'all. I always remember this. Pastor Cosby, no relation, in Wheel Avenue Baptist Church, where I was born and raised in Houston. He gave a sermon about the history and the etymology of the word "word." What does the word mean? Which I found interesting. We talked about most of the English translation of the Bible come from the Greek translation. The Greek came from Aramaic, so on and so forth. But the word in Greece means a physical manifestation of a thought. Word means a physical manifestation of a thought. Now, if you think about that and you hear that Jesus, the Son of God, was the Word of God, right? Jesus was the physical manifestation of the thoughts of God. And so if you want to live a life that represents the physical manifestation of the thoughts of God, you have got to go back to what Jesus says and does, not what you wish he said or what you hope you don't notice you do, right? If you really want to live a Christian life, you have got to take it down to that level. Do what Jesus did, what Jesus said, not what you hope nobody notices you're doing or what you want to pretend is in the Bible. The Bible says nothing about cleanliness is next to godliness. That is not in there. And read the Bible for yourself. You know what I did? I went to the Gospels, like you said. I read all the red words, the words that Jesus actually said. He was actually kind of funny and snarky if you think about it. But do that.
He was. He really was.
What it means.
And it shouldn't be WWJD. It should be DWJD. Do what Jesus did.
Do what Jesus did. Yes.
What would Jesus do? Because that leaves it up to your interpretation. Do what Jesus did. Don't what would Jesus do?
Hey,
Do what
bro,
Jesus
that's
did.
$1 million idea. You know what? We're gonna get with HBCU Pride and Joy because she does private stuff. We're gonna make us DWJ.
Do what Jesus did. I mean, and there's you've been promoting one thing. I'm promote E. Dewey Smith. He's a Morehouse man, and he's a preacher here in the Atlanta area. I'll go to YouTube, and he's got a snippet of a sermon. He talks about homosexuality, and he had people in the church seats squirming because he was like, if we're gonna say it's in the Bible, which is not, we could debate that. We're gonna say it's in the Bible. He said there's also other things in the Bible that we don't follow. He said the Bible says you shouldn't wear mixed linens, and yet we do that. The Bible, and he started listing all these things that the Bible says we shouldn't do that we still do. We're not supposed to eat any type of shellfish, and I promise you we love some lobster, some shrimp. He said, and he said, and then the church uses homosexuals for their own benefit. Right. Because he said, name me one song, choir song, and he backed up, and everybody was like, but he was very, very, and it was, I mean, he was doing it in a preacher style, so it's entertaining. But the point is made is that we use people. We talked about Mexicans. We talked about African slaves, even to this day, when we talk about athletes, those slaves went and become athletes, and yeah, that $1 million, but everybody else is not doing as well. But we use people for their personal gain, benefit, entertainment, but we don't really want them to be in the light beyond what they can do for us. And that's the same thing with the church and homosexuals, is that we want you to go up there because you sing your behind off and you run that choir, but I don't need you out in front in anything else.
Then they want to put them back, literally back in the closet.
Back in the closet. And so that's really, we've got to be careful about that, because you're right. We could have that American Christianity that is, and I think we have it to this day. It's called evangelicals. I don't even know where that came from, but that's the American Christianity in action.
All right. And with that, we thank y'all
for
being with us for so long. You know what it is? When we used to go to the studio, we had to be in and out. We had other things to do. Now
I'm at home. Shoot, I got my drink. I'm like going out there.
Sweatpants on, got my sweatshirt on, I'm chilling. I'm about to turn my computer off and lay down. So we tend to be on a little bit longer, but I think this is a good show. Share this with your friends, like our page, Thoughts and Moments on Facebook. We're trying to build our audience. We're still looking for new sponsors. So if you have a business that you want us to put an ad in for, so you can get more exposure for your business, come talk to us, hit us up and
download the app.
Download the app. It's the app is on the Google Play and iTunes App Store at, what is it, MyJBN. Yep. There you go.
Oh, there it is. Look right up cute. By JBN1. By JBN1. Download it. We're number 14.
So if you missed a show, you can catch it on there as well.
Yep.
In video.
Yep. So download the app. Make sure you're following everything. I'm going to post the videos on our Facebook page. So if you want to see what I'm talking about, you can see the video for yourself. So we're going to be more active. Tell your friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tell your friends, tell your kids, tell your wife, and tell your husband too, because we're trying to reach everybody up in here.
Always a pleasure to see you, my sister. I can't wait to get to the city, and I can see you more often, even if it's from 6 feet away.
I'm gonna have a house for you in my car in your driveway.
We're gonna do a drive-by housewarming. Just drop off the gift and keep it moving. See y'all next time.
So you're a philosopher?
Yes.
This is Thoughts and Moments. Hey, it's your boy Sille Thoughts, the Prince of Petty.
And I'm Joy, also known as Joyride. I provide the moments to make your life better.
We're here weekly to provide the latest news, trending topics, and edutainment.
We will engage, entertain, and inform, but we keep it real and we keep it fun.
So whether you're riding in these streets or podcast surfing with your peeps, this is a show you don't want to miss.
Vanilla smoked sea salt seasoning is for seafood. The tarragon and fennel bring out the natural sweetness in seafood. I also use it in rice dishes, on yams, asparagus, blueberry pancakes, and believe it or not, chocolate chip cookies. Vanilla smoked sea salt adds a salty and savory component to sweet dishes that create a symphony for the tongue.
Have you had your Earth Blend coffee today? At Earth Blend Coffee, we take pride in offering you the very best of beans across the world, blended and roasted to perfection, giving you superior quality and satisfying and flavorful taste. Experience the world in one cup with Earth Blend Coffee.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids' apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique to spice up your closet with trendy, unique looks. We have fashionable and chic looks at very affordable prices. Velvet Boutique offers free shipping all year long on all orders. Shop online at www.melvetboutique.com. That's www.melvetboutique.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. Shop Velvet Online Women's Boutique.
I'm attorney Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Let's face it, shopping for insurance can be time-consuming. That's why when it comes to your auto, home, and life insurance needs, make things simple and trust the experts at Allstate. They will help you get the coverage that fits your needs while helping you bundle your life, home, and auto policies. Bundling saves you money, sure, but it also saves you time, so you can enjoy the things that matter most even more. Contact me, Tammy Haynes, your local agent, for a free personalized insurance quote.